I did my research on cystic fibrosis. So what exactly is cystic fibrosis? It is a non-curable disease that involves the mutations in the cystic fibrosis transmembrane conductance regulator gene, which is also known as CFTR. So protein is not able to bring chloride to the cell surface, which is what attracts water, and this leads to a buildup of mucus. So this disease damages the lungs and the digestive system. So the picture you are seeing in the bottom right corner of a normal lung versus a lung of someone who has cystic fibrosis. So what you're seeing, those open spots and that orange color in there would be the mucus, which is blocking the airways. So in those who have cystic fibrosis, it is more difficult for them to breathe, and oftentimes they are hospitalized and put on machines that aid in their breathing, depending on the severity of their case. So it is, as I mentioned, a rare genetic disease, and it does cause early death. So typically people with this disease only live about 41 years of age. So the CFTR gene is passed on to a child from each parent. So in order to get cystic fibrosis, both of your parents have to have a mutated CFTR gene. If only one of your parents has a mutated CFTR gene and the other one has a normal CFTR gene, then you will be a carrier. However, you will not have cystic fibrosis. But later in life, you could pass it on to your kids and so on. So some statistics for cystic fibrosis are it is more common in white Americans than any other ethnicity, and to show that more clear, it does occur in 1 in 2,500 to 3,500 white newborns, whereas for African Americans, it is only 1 in 17,000, and Asian Americans, it is 1 in 31,000. So doctors typically diagnose cystic fibrosis by performing genetic and sweat screen tests. So the image I have below does show the values. So for someone who is normal and does not have cystic fibrosis, they should be in the range of below 30, the chloride range. Borderline would be 30 to 59, and someone who does have cystic fibrosis would be equal to or above 60. So living with cystic fibrosis, it is very important for these individuals to be healthy. So they do have a lower immune system and lower lung function and such. So catching germs and becoming sick is increased in these individuals. So they have to make sure they wash their hands regularly. They have to maintain a healthy diet, receive regular physical exams as well as medical exams. Those, as I mentioned, those with cystic fibrosis do have a higher risk of getting sick because the rate of spreading germs on their body is higher and faster. So like most diseases, fitness is very important in helping to manage cystic fibrosis. As I mentioned, there is no cure to this disease, but it can be managed by the factors that I had mentioned on the previous slide. So exercising does help to strengthen the immune system, strengthen the bones and the heart, delay lung failure, and improve overall mood. So with all the mucus buildup within the lungs of those who have cystic fibrosis, this typically leads to lung failure, which is why these individuals do not live as long as those without cystic fibrosis. So exercising to delay this lung failure is very important in those with cystic fibrosis. So cystic fibrosis does vary from mild to severe, and it is important to be educated on your specific case. So for example, how someone is treated with mild cystic fibrosis versus how someone is treated with severe cystic fibrosis, and how their lifestyles should be are definitely different. So some therapies that may be required, depending on the severity, would be airway clearance, which is a tool that helps loosen and get rid of this thick mucus that is built up within the lungs. Inhaled medications are also often used, and they open up airways and also thin the mucus. They usually come in a mist, and then they're inhaled, and it fights lung infections to keep the airways clear. Another one is pancreatic enzyme supplement. These are capsules, and they improve the absorption of the vital nutrients that are needed They're typically taken with every meal. Also, CFTR modulators, they target underlying defects in the CFTR protein. And then individualized fitness plans, as I mentioned, someone with cystic fibrosis who has a severe case should not be out running 5 miles a day, whereas someone with a mild case may be able to run more. So running is a very beneficial way of exercising for those who do have cystic fibrosis. It improves cardiorespiratory function. It loosens the mucus within the lungs and makes the airways more clear, making it easier for them to breathe. Running is super important for this group of people because it does target airway function and lung function and such, and this is a major problem for this specific group. So cycling and swimming are also beneficial, and any other activity that improves lung function. I just picked running because it is a common fitness plan that is given to those with cystic fibrosis due to all of its benefits. It's an aerobic tool that is used to lengthen the time of life. So someone who is into running or cycling or swimming that is of this population will most likely live longer due to their increased lung function compared to somebody with cystic fibrosis who does not participate in these activities. These are just some of my references that I used for my presentation, and that is all. Thank you.